My dear viewers, welcome to a new episode of our program, Questions About Faith. It is our pleasure to have ongoing interviews, and we are pleased also to answer all your questions. It is also our pleasure and honor to have with us our guest, Father Zakaria Botros. You are most welcome, Reverend Father.
Thank you very much.
At the conclusion of our previous episode, you hinted at a very important and serious topic, which is the issue of abrogation. But of course, this question and topic require a lot of clarification and a lot of discussion. We have here so many questions, and God willing, you will be answering them. The first question is, what is meant by the abrogating and the abrogated?
The word nesakh means to transcribe. That is, he wrote something here and copied it there. But lingually, it has other meanings. And particularly in the Quran, in regards to this topic. It means to move a verse, or replace a verse with another, or the replacement of the ruling of a verse with another ruling. Just as Ibn Kathir said in his commentary, Volume 1, page 154, citing Ibn Jarir, he said, abrogation is to change that which is legitimate into that which is illegitimate, and that which is illegitimate into that which is legitimate. To abrogate a verse here would be to reverse it, that is, to attach a different ruling to it. So, then to remove, to replace, to reverse, to shift, that is the meaning of nesakh. So then, abrogation means a verse canceling a previous verse. Okay?
How many verses have been abrogated in the Quran?
Abu Ghafar al-Nahas, as well as others like him, who wrote on the issue of the abrogating and the abrogated, estimated that there are 71 surahs. Of course, the Quran has 114 surahs, so 71 is more than half, have abrogating and abrogated verses. So the average, when I tried to fix a percentage to it, came up to 92.28% abrogated verses.
That's a huge number.
Yes, 92% and 0.28%. That's 62.5% roughly. 62.5% roughly of the Quran abrogating and abrogated. I'm not the one saying that now. That's what the experts of abrogation say.
It is a fact, and the Quran is available and they can refer to it.
Oh yes, they could refer to it.
What are the types of the abrogating and abrogated verses?
The scholars of abrogation divide the sorts of the verses that had been abrogated into three categories. I will use their own terminology, and I will explain them, which are those whose writings have been abrogated and whose ruling remains, and those whose ruling has been abrogated and their writing remains, and those whose writing and ruling have both been abrogated.
Well, of course, I can't make heads or tails.
All right, now how much more then, the dear viewers? That whose writing has been abrogated. Writing means the letters themselves. Abrogated means canceled.
That is, entirely been removed.
That has been removed from the Quran. Only the ruling of it remains, and they still judge according to a verse that's been removed and abrogated.
Despite the fact that it's non-existent.
Yeah, despite the fact that it's non-existent.
Yet it is still in force.
And is still effective.
Have you got any examples of this?
Yes, of course. And that's meant by letter abrogation. The writing has been removed from the Quran, but they still act according to it until today. The proof or the evidence for that is the verse of stoning, the stoning of an adulterer and an adulteress. This used to be a verse in the Quran during the time of Muhammad. It has been removed and cancelled from the Quran. It is not written anymore. Uthman ibn Affan did not have it written in his own copy, in his Quran. But until today, they still stone the adulterer and adulteress. This is the law until today in Saudi Arabia. They stone the adulterer and adulteress. Oh well, where does it state that in the Quran? It has been removed. It has been abrogated. The ruling has been abrogated. It is not there anymore in the Quran. I mean, the writing has been abrogated, but the ruling is still effective. One other thing among those that have been removed from the Quran and
whose ruling is still effective.
Yes, and whose ruling is still effective, the verse of nursing the adult.
Is this a Quranic verse, really?
It is a Quranic verse. Aisha mentioned it. She said it was in the Quran.
It was in the Quran?
Yes, it was in the Mus'haf, according to the testimony of the scholars of abrogation.
Well, this requires a lot of clarification.
The time of the episode is unfortunately so short.
Oh, take your time.
Aisha mentioned that there used to be a verse. When Aisha wanted to meet any man, which was unseemly that the stranger would enter to her because she had been veiled, the veiling was imposed on them. So she used to make her niece breastfeed whoever she wanted to meet. We are talking of an adult man. She would nurse him. And why? In order to be considered a close relative, muhram, as if he too is her nephew, because her niece nursed him. Then she would meet him. And there is also in Sahih al-Bukhari a narrative. This was Aisha's narrative here. But in al-Bukhari's Sahih, there is a mention of a woman who came to the Prophet and said to him, "My husband is jealous of our slave." The slave was young, and he grew up in the house, and now he feels jealous of him. He can't tolerate him. He said, "Okay, go and nurse him." Nurse the slave.
An adult woman nursing an adult slave?
Yes, nursing an adult slave. She said, "Messenger, he's already a man." He said, "Get out of here. I know he is an adult. Go nurse him." She went and nursed him, and he became a close relative, muhram, and her husband quit feeling jealous of him.
She herself nursed him?
She herself nursed him, so he became as good as a brother. I mean, a son. He became like a son to her. So he felt jealous of him no more. She returned to the messenger of God, who said to her, "So how is it going now?" She said, "All is clear. He doesn't feel jealous of him anymore." So Aisha continued this process, and she said, "If there is any man I'd like to meet, I would make someone nurse him."
In such a way that when Aisha made her niece nurse him,
her niece became his mother.
Considered his own mother, and she became like...
She has become like his grandmother.
So now he is muhram. This was the method employed.
This is the verse of the nursing of the adult, and Aisha testified to that there used to be a verse to that effect about nursing the adult. And of course, Aisha was spoken about by Muhammad in those terms. Muhammad told them, "Take half of your religion from this ruddy woman." Alright? This was the first type. The second type is that whose ruling has been abrogated and its writing remains. That is, verses still existed in the Quran, but they are not acted upon. And this includes 550 verses of this type.
550?
Yes, existent in the Quran, but not to be applied. Such as, and I'll give you just one simple example because of the program's time. To be frank with you, this issue about the abrogation should be covered in at least 5 episodes, up to 10 episodes, because it is so large. I am trying to cut it short because I only got half an hour. Like the case of the peace verses. When the messenger was in Mecca, he spread peace. Do not argue with the people of the book unless it be in the politest manner, and say we believe in what has been sent down to you and what has been sent down to us. Your God and our God is the same single God. And all such verses. 124 verses about peace, and one single verse put an end to a 124 surahs. I mean 124 verses, which is in the verse of the sword.
Where is that found, Father?
It is in Surah 9, Al-Tawbah, verse 5. That's one verse. And an identical one in Surah 9, Al-Tawbah, verse 29. So Surah 9, Al-Tawbah, verse 5 says, "Kill them wherever you may find them," meaning anywhere you find them. So kill them wherever you may find them. And in Surah 9, Al-Tawbah, verse 29, it says, "Fight those who do not believe in God, nor the last day, nor forbid whatever God and His Messenger have forbidden, nor profess the true religion." That is Islam. Among whom? Among those who were given the book till they pay the poll tax of their own accord